we're trying to cut the cycle between the technician and the customer service at the same time with the customer service and the actual customer. So there's a lot of forth and back, and people, technician working, they cannot pick up the phone. So they tell me, these questions I got a lot about their availability, if this work seems to be reasonable, if that's in the correct zip code, etc. All these questions can AI answer that based on portfolios. All the customer need to do is send the URL for the AI, and AI understand this gazebo need 2 or 3 like technician to go to that place and finish the job. And the AI can manage the entire process and see who's available and get back to the customer says, yes, we can do it in the time and the zip code and the service you request.
Hey, Hisham, welcome to my startup podcast. It's a pleasure to have you on, and I'm podcasting from San Francisco, so that's the epicenter of this startup culture. It's been very exciting so far, but yeah, great to reconnect with someone on the East Coast.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you're giving me this opportunity to share my experience.
Yeah, and we'll jump into. I'm excited to learn more about your startup that you're working on and how it helps startup founders. But before we just jump into that, do you mind just telling me about your background? How did you end up on the East Coast where you are right now, and then how did you end up getting into the startup space in the first place?
Absolutely. So my journey in US has been almost 14, 15 years. Actually, I start from learning English all the way to build a
Nice.
startup. So it's a quite a long journey. But I went to tech school. I went to Virginia Tech for my undergrad. I studied computer science. I always have this in my mind. I like to solve a problem, like, in the technical way, if I'm trying to find solution for any problem seems to be reasonable and make your life easier and more productive. So worked on different research, the entire academic journey. I work on antibiotics resistance in Virginia Tech. I actually worked on carpooling startup idea, but we had COVID during that time, so was carpooling not a great idea. I went to also Fairfield University. It's in Connecticut. It's a small university, but we focus a lot on my research for AI. So I focus all my master program on building some AIs in NLP, like natural language processing. And actually, in that research, I worked on a similar what we are familiar with as a ChatGPT. So I worked with an open source called Hugging Face. So that was kind of like my early experience with that. So typically, I like to kind of like vet the problem early stages, then try to find a really solution for that. After graduations, I met a lot of people. This like the three-state, the metro area for New York, we have a lot
Sure.
of home services, and they seems to be very kind of like crowded with a lot of work. So kind of bring what seems to be a good startup idea for me starting this company.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. So it sounds like you've had experience in various different domains within the startup space, and I mean sometimes they say it's good to take domain knowledge from one thing that you're familiar with and then start a startup. But no, I mean I wonder too though if it's true that if you've tried various different ideas, you can kind of see the common thread between them and what works consistently no matter what kind of startup that you start. So that's something that I also look out for myself, having tried startups in very different domains. So there's common threads, which I know one of them is networking. Of course, you want to have a good network, and like you said, validating the idea. If you can do that in a very simple way without much upfront costs, then that's I think one of the most important things you can do. But yeah, so yeah, let's jump into your what startup you're working on. So what's your idea? What's the concept, and how'd you come up with it?
So, let's say you're in San Francisco now, and you're not familiar with the area. Let's say you face any problem. Let's say your AC is not working. Anything in the related with home services. You don't know your people, right? You're outside. You're comfortable zone. How do you go about that? Let's say I ask you, you're in your event and you want to go from your hotel to your event, or the other way around. The first thing you think of, okay, I can use Uber, there's no issue. But with home services, this is a very large market, and there is a lot of fragmentations. And actually, the problem is coming within the actual business, and that affect the customer or the user. So we're trying to fix the problem internally in the business so that can reflect on the user experience or the customer experience. Like having many people chatting with me and talking about, okay, can you build me this software? Can I build this system? I have this business. Can you help me with automating that process? And all of them, they have a common problem. They work with different software. They cannot make communicating all these software in one ecosystem in a very practical way, which is slowing down the business and making any typical operation internally, like within the team and with the customer, way slower. So I'm trying to cut this cycle to make this be like a more efficient way.
Okay, gotcha. And do you have a certain target audience that you're going after with this product?
Yes, so I start a company called Expert AI. These are technicians. They have experience with home assembly services. Think about you buy anything from Home Depot, from Target, from Amazon, and you don't have the experience to put the pieces together. You wanna install, let's say, a gazebo. You don't know exactly how to do that, right? So this company connect you with the right technicians. But there is always a problem, right? When you try to talk as a customer with that business, you don't know the pricing, right? The first thing you wanna ask about, can you help me with this service? What's the pricing? And when is the earliest time you can come in? Typically, the process is very slow. You communicate with multiple companies and you're trying to get your like you keep up with the feedback you get. A lot of businesses, they forget to get back to you, so that hurts the business and hurts also, like, time consuming for the customer too. And this kind of like the metro area, like in New York, everybody's busy. Nobody want to go and vet who can help me with this process, right? So you have a problem, you want to request a service, and you want to get it done. Fit with your schedule and fits with the business schedule. So we are trying to build an infrastructure, basically, can communicate between the customer and the business without going with the entire cycle of the tier one customer service issue.
Okay, gotcha. And so your target would be anyone that's pinched for time. So is it would this be for consumers too, or is it for businesses more? Either of those segments?
Yeah, so I like to think about it again as Uber style. You can see all the updates on the app. You can see how far is the driver, how long it's gonna take, etc. And the driver can see the same thing.
Oh,
There
okay,
is the
yeah.
location. Businesses tend to have very slow follow-ups. Try to, when you need a quote, you need to get any information. It takes time for the business to get back to you. Sometimes you cannot pick up your phone they call you back or something like that. So the process kind of get a little bit time consuming for both sides. So my target, basically my segment target customer, is home services who need to communicate with their actual customer. So I give them the platform where they can communicate between their business and the customer.
Okay, okay. So anyone who wants that real time communication feed between the service that they need and the ability to see when that can be delivered, just like you mentioned, with as you can see when and where an Uber driver is. Those would be the ideal customers. So I imagine there's a lot of stakeholders that you work with, all these service providers, coordinating all of them along with the customers into this platform. Yeah, could you just talk to me more about how that's been working with these various stakeholders? Are you starting off with a certain niche? I know you mentioned Home Depot. Are you starting off with certain home services and then expanding out, or whatever you're able to get as you visit various service providers?
So my style so far is, the great thing about being in the metro area here, you can find a lot of
Uh,
businesses, right?
right,
And the earlier you get the feedback, the better. So I work with janitorial businesses, I work with home services businesses, I work with real estate too, because there is a little bit of the update with that in terms of like cleaning properties, moving furnitures, like any house or something like that. So these are like the people I got my experience and feedback from, and I'm building like a system to fit the actual business need. For example, each business have their own way of handling the customer coming in until the work is done. And if you want to
uh,
take any tool online, you actually have to follow what's the tool giving you the options to do, right? Let's say,
right,
these CRMs are kind of like hard coded in that way. Your business does not fit exactly. You need to adjust working with these CRMs. You need to work, let's say, chatbots. Typically, either you build something in-house or you need to rely on a tool that gives you a little less flexibility. But each
right.
business, no matter what is if it is even the same niche or something like that, the way they handle the business internally is different. So my tool is giving them the option to stay unique the way they handle their business, at the same time take the most advantage of using AI. So they can keep their sales cycle the way they think it's good, fitting their business style. At the same time, they can get the most advantage of using the AI.
Got it. Had there been one of these services that you've had the most traction with, or is it sort of you're seeing service providers from each of the disciplines that you mentioned interested, or is it one of them that they're when you talk to them about this idea, they seem especially yeah, they have an affinity for it. They think it's perfect for their business.
Mhm. Yeah, so I will give you some examples to help kind of like clarify the like the entire concept. So, for example, when you want to do any service for any home, typically there is like a harmless agreement, right? Just what you want to make sure legally you are backed up. So typically, people like to have this signed either on site or have this to be before any business happen, like any work done for that house, basically, or that property. Uh, some businesses they like to have the card on hold before any booking, right? So that's
Okay,
also another difficulty. Some businesses they need to have their first down payment or also part of the process. Another challenge is many of these home services they have machines, and you want to make sure you actually coordinate the machine with the staff. So let's say a machine required two or three staff. You want to make sure when you coordinate the job, you actually handle the staff will be working on this machine. So you actually making sure that the same machine cannot be in two places at the same time, and the actual technician cannot be in two places at the same time. So that gives the business the opportunity to maximize their like force power with what they can handle in terms of job. At the same time, it takes a lot of pressure of managing this manually, right? Because if you want to
right.
manage this, you probably there is always human mistakes. People cannot pick up the phone. Technician cannot pick up the phone while they're still working. They're driving. They don't know if the work can be done within the hours they decided, etc. So this operating system can help the technician to get notified early enough to take a new job, and at the same time notify the customer service, okay, I'm not done, or I'm done earlier than what this task seemed to be taking time from me.
Okay, I see. So it sounds like this product is best for service providers that have a lot of coordination needed to make sure that the resources, the right people are showing up at the right place at the right time. They're not overwhelmed with too many tasks or underwhelmed. They have the tools they need at the right place at the right time. They could benefit from this because it'll coordinate a lot of that for them.
Exactly, exactly. That's exactly what it
Yeah,
is. And you can think of any business that have, let's say, five or more technicians coordinating this. It requires
yeah,
more staff and it kind of slows down the process. But having a system can help with this and just only,
right.
matching what seems to be realistic in terms of like when the AI understand the job, exactly how things work, then matching the exact timing with the technician can be very seamlessly.
Yeah, and this seems like there are many different disciplines that you might be dealing with, many different types of services. Do you pick like a mentor for each service type that can kind of lead you through how this industry works, or is there a single mentor that kind of knows a bit about each of these different services that you're working with?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Let's say the home service, the home assembly services. I
Yeah,
do have partnership with that startup, and that's kind of like what brings the
nice.
entire feedback from them on how they operate, what seems to be time consuming and avoiding like the cycle for going forth and back with the customer, with the technician. We're trying to cut the cycle between the technician and customer service at the same time with the customer service and the actual customer. So there's a lot of forth and back and people, technician working and they cannot pick up the phone. So they tell me these questions I got a lot, for example, about the availability, if this work seems to be reasonable, if that's in the correct zip code, etc. All these questions can AI answer that based on portfolios. This technician can be in this zip code because they have a job in that area. So the AI can manage where the job is going, who can handle that job. So it cuts a lot of going forth and back between technicians and customer service and the actual customer. If the technician says, okay, I don't think this is the requirement I need more details. Can you give me a URL for where you purchased this product? I got it from Amazon. Okay, great. Give me the URL. Technician knows this is the product. I know the details. I know everything. Now I have full all the equipment I need to go and finish this service. So AI can read the URL. If the customer sent the URL, can read all the details and understand what the equipment the technician need to have, and making sure telling the technician you need to have this equipment. This is the time, and this is the zip code for that service. And these all the details can be getting through AI without the need of having going forth and back.
Sorry, I might have missed. Where is the
Yeah.
AI reading the URL from? Is that from like previous projects that it's looking at and it's telling the technician they can pick up the products there? Or yeah, where's that coming from?
So okay, so let's start from where things started. Customer
Yeah,
call the business, and customer need to know the pricing and the time,
yeah,
and the zip code, right? Can you serve in my area? So
right,
AI can figure out, okay, we can serve in your area. There's a technician in your area we can serve. Someone can come in with the time you requested. Then
yeah,
customer says, I need a gazebo to install in my backyard, right? So there are different gazebos. Sometimes one person cannot do that. You need more than one
sure.
technician to do that. The customer does not know how many technicians should come to the place. Without
Uh-huh.
without describing exactly what the details, it will be difficult to determine how many people need to go for this job. All the customer need to do is send the URL for the AI, and AI understand this gazebo need two or three like technician to go to that place and finish the job. And the AI can manage the entire process and see who's available and get back to the customer says, yes, we can do it in the time and the zip code and the service you request.
Okay. Okay. So the AI is actually doing the coordination of making sure that the right service providers show up with the right tools for the given project that you have.
Exactly. Without, so
Yeah.
customer get this instant. Like you don't have to wait on the phone for people are busy. Can I give
Yeah.
the details? You don't have to submit a quote, and you get this after 10 days once they are find a good time to send you
Right.
what seems to be. You can get this
Yeah.
instant, and this is like cutting the line in terms of like for you as a customer, your experience will be a whole different experience. You know what's the cost, you know everything. At the same time, you have the communications when this technician is coming, what you need to prepare, etc. Everything will be managed instant.
Got it. And and so I kind of see where this platform is going as far as a vision, but is there a certain vision that you have in mind that you're ultimately heading for? Regardless of how ambitious it might be, looking from this standpoint in the early days, but where eventually do you plan to take this all?
Yeah, exactly. So I see a lot of fragmentations in the home services in general.
Yeah.
Like, the way you actually find someone to help you with any specific service and the way actually the work is done. You have to vet a lot of people online. You have to see who can fit in your schedule. What's the pricing? You don't know, like you have to go juggle multiple websites, multiple businesses to understand that. The way I see it, again, I think this is a big problem. Going back to the example, you're in San Francisco, you don't know people who can help you with your AC problem, installing any machine you think you need it, like a washer, etc. So you have to go online and vet everybody you think you can communicate with. The process is very tedious. People cannot pick up the phone sometimes to answer your questions. You don't know what's the pricing, what's their schedule. It might take you a couple days or more to figure out who can help you, right? So where I see this going, I want to make this a lot more organized in a way that you can go to a platform, say to the AI, I have this problem, and this is my time, this is my zip code, etc. Who can come and help me? Send me someone who can help me with that. They will tell you, okay, that's the price. That's the earliest technician who can come to your place. And you don't have to worry about anything. You just check the app and see all the updates happening. These fragmentations we have in the home services industry in general can be cut like more than half and make the process a lot more easy, right? So you want to work smarter, not harder to get the work done. Technicians can focus on their work. They see all the details they need. When they go to any job, they have all the details. They don't need to go forth and back with the customer support says, okay, I need this information. I need more information about it. They got all the information they're looking for. At the same time, customers can request that and forget about it. All they need to do is look at the app and check the updates. Makes everybody's life easy and get the work done.
Yeah, so you're really kind of abstracting away the whole back and forth, the mechanics of having to compare different services. Sort of like, I mean, you have a car, it has an engine. You don't have to deal with an engine though. You just press, the accelerator and it goes, right? It just sort of making, coupling exactly what the need is of the consumer with the service that they need, rather than having to deal with the complexities of figuring out what that service should be or what the best price is. Really just making it a need, and for each need there's a corresponding service, and then you're just matching those two together.
Exactly, exactly. And
Yeah.
nobody want to spend time on trying to vet people online, right? You're not an expert
Right.
with figuring out who seems to have the experience to solve my problem. All you need to say, I have this problem, I need to fix that. Please send me the earliest with the price range and the availability with my calendar. And that's it, right? That makes the process a
Yeah.
lot more smoother, really, and have the trust because vetting people online brings a lot of trust issue at the same time, right?
Right.
When there is a platform can make sure it vets the technicians and the business and at the same time know your customer, there is a little trust here that make the process a lot smoother. For the technician, they know we vet the customer and the customer knows we vet the technician. No technician will be added to the platform without background check, right?
Yeah, no, that definitely gives a lot more reassurance. And like you said, if you're not an expert in the service that you're getting, of course, which most people won't be because otherwise they would do it themselves, right? If they were an expert, they would do the project themselves. So yeah, it's good to have that to outsource that expert advice to AI and then whatever else might take place in the algorithm. So I mean, there are many AI startups coming up. I'm assuming that there may be some competitors in this space. If that's the case, what would you say differentiates your startup to really keep it at the forefront compared to other people that might be competing in this space?
Yeah, so from my experience, every day I'm trying to see what seems to be in this area, like for home services. For some reason, a lot of people try to shy away from like, getting involved with home services. Everybody go either healthcare, finance, etc. But speaking
Right.
of competitors, uh, there has to be someone doing something similar. I'm not too worried about, having other competitors. I'm worried about, getting a value for both sides, which will
Right.
make this a lot more um, organic growth for my idea, right? If I am solving a real problem that I still see this every day working with my clients, talking to other people, talking to other businesses, this problem still existed. I don't see other competitors doing a good job if they are existed, right? Uh,
Uh,
I'm not too worried about having competitors. Every business has competitors. Why I think I will be like, in relatively speaking, in a good shape with my idea is this particular niche or this particular kind of sector in the US ecosystem is very fragmented in terms of like the tools they're using, in terms of
yeah.
the way they operate their system, in terms of how they communicate. Uh, uh, so many areas. I think there can be a lot of improvement in that. So what I'm doing now, anybody using my tools from like my current customers, they actually see the value right from like the first time they use it
Right.
because it cuts a lot of forth and back and it makes the process a lot smoother. So I'm not too worried too much about that. Yeah.
Okay. So basically, you're saying that based on the existing state of the market where things are currently fragmented, there's still a lot of open space for startups in this space to expand into it. The problem hasn't been, even if there is competition, there's enough market share and enough space to expand into that you're better off just focusing on growing this concept of matching up the services using AI with the customer needs and focusing on growth rather than trying to it's already enough innovative enough in and of itself, and it's a new enough
Mhm.
space that you don't have to worry about some razor thin margins due to high competition. There's enough open space.
Yeah. Again, I don't see a lot of people
Yeah.
getting involved in this niche for I don't know what's reason. That's why I see there's
Yeah.
a good opportunity for making things a lot better for home services in general. Like the ecosystem is just really, really fragmented, and the way it's
Yeah.
managed, it's very time consuming for both sides, customers and actual business.
And what would you say? What's the biggest or some of the biggest challenges that you faced so far um, in this space? Some people might wonder, like you said, not many people have gone into this space. Is there a reason? Are you hitting any like insurmountable challenges, or maybe tough challenges that can be overcome, but just seem tough from the outset?
Yeah, sure. I think the learning curve always with any new idea can be a challenge for everybody. Anything you
Yeah.
learn new can be challenged. Businesses learn what seems to be possible with AI, and customers adapting, also using some AI tools along the way. Right now, talking with, let's say, if I say voice AI, I don't think this is a new topic. A lot of people start to say, okay, well, yes, there is a voice AI. Yes, I can see that voice AI can take all the information, do the work instead of waiting online. If that seems to be very practically solving my problem, I don't have an issue. So teaching businesses what's possible with AI and the customers at the same time to just make sure both can still communicate and get the most out of this new technology. This is one of the challenges because you need to explain to the
Yeah.
business, yes, the AI actually can give a pricing, actually can read links, yes, can give manage the scheduling. The technicians, they don't have to worry too much about missing phone calls from customer support or from customers. They can just only focus on their work. They can be more productive. Yes, you can save time on your side in terms of managing who can go to what. If someone call you and say, yes, I need a service in California, for example, and you just operate in the East Coast, the AI will say, yes, unfortunately, your zip code is not within our area. Business owners, they don't know it is actually existed. So teaching them this is possible, you can actually rely on that. Actually, the AI can focus on getting the work done. It stays 24/7. It doesn't break down really, like it's reliable, etc. This is a challenge to teach the business what's possible. So as I build more on my portfolio in terms of adding more customers, I'm helping them to adapt AI. This is kind of like the challenge for now. But later on, once I have
Right.
a portfolio, a bigger portfolio showing the impact, what the metrics looks like before using AI, after using AI, how much they improve on their work, etc. This is will be self-explanatory, and just seeing an actual demo how the process works can explain a lot.
Yeah, it's 100% true that can be one of the toughest parts is to just educate your customer on how exactly or what the capabilities of AI are, because of course in some sense it's become a lot easier because there is the ChatGPT hype and explode AI hype since then, but then sometimes people feel, oh, is it overhyped? Can it actually do these things? And so it's very important to, well, first educate the customer on the problem, make sure they're on the same page that this is a problem, and then on the solution, the AI solution, can it actually do what you're claiming? And I found personally that if you have, and you kind of mentioned this, like a very good demo that just so succinctly and clearly shows the problem being solved, then that'll go a long way with convincing the potential customer that this is a viable solution.
Yeah, another thing is business owners typically they use a lot of fragment tools. They don't believe
Yeah.
the AI actually can communicate with the different tools they use. So the infrastructure we're building is connecting all the tools they use. If they're missing one tool, for example, different type of calendars, because some calendars you need to add some equipment as part of that calendar. For example, as I mentioned earlier, you cannot have the same tool in two different places. So we provide all that. If they say we don't have the infrastructure for that, we don't know how to connect the tools, etc., that's where we come in and we provide anything they're missing, or we connect anything they have. So now they can take advantage of using the cutting edge AI to do all the matching, do all the tier one support, etc. So we work with their tech stack to make this process actually doable.
Right. Yeah. Ideally, for a customer, it's just plug and play. They can try out the product and see the value immediately. Of
Mhm.
course, anyone who knows starting a startup, that's easier said than done. But yeah, that definitely makes a big difference for the customer.
Yeah.
Um,
Also, one
yeah.
more thing I actually want to add is I'm a big fan of giving the business full control of their style of business. And
Okay.
at the
Yeah.
same time, they don't have to be a tech savvy. If they want to change anything, they don't need to understand the entire workflow. So what I give them a portal or some kind of like back office access. They can change the things they think it's valuable for them, any calendar related, any new rules for their business, etc., which make this a lot more dynamic. They don't have to come back to me and say, okay, can you adjust this? Can we make the AI do this and that? They actually have the access to the back office without the need of understanding how things works. All they need to do is just update their rules, their product, etc., and the AI will compile everything and work with the updates without the need of coming back and say, can you help us with that? This is a very big advantage because a lot of tools, if 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 it is like not dynamic in the way that adapt the business they cannot really scale. So what we actually want to focus on, let the business actually do their work, and the dynamic of the AI will scale on its own as the business grow. This is a very big distinguish about the way I think about this platform, because it is dynamic. It can grow with the business. They don't have to, rebuild anything again. It is dynamic in the way that that particular business is unique.
I could see how that would be important for smaller service-based businesses where there's not some standard for the way that they do things, and so each of them may have their own style, their own routine for carrying out their services, and so they may need that customization in order to not have to change their whole workflow that they've already gotten comfortable with, that they're already used to, in order to just try out some new products. So that's nice that you guys have that customization. And yeah, just so for the last question up here, so what would you say is either one of or some of the most valuable insights that you've gotten so far as a startup founder, that you would pass on to someone else who's watching this? It could be someone else in a similar space, or just any the startup space in general. What would you pass on to them?
Yeah, actually, we all have this mindset. I want to create a startup. I have this idea, etc. But always a challenge to take this idea to a real world, right? Always you will find people interpret the idea in a different way. The best thing I really like about again being in this area is you can get really feedback from any business you can connect with. Say, I have this idea. What do you think? Will this work in your business? Do you think this is valuable? And you build as you learn about how different business work, and you have different feedback. You can have feedback really easily from like I do have different mentor, right? Marketing,
Yeah.
software architecture, how I can actually scale if I want to work with small businesses versus I want to take this to a bigger like a player in the field. Let's say I want to be integrated with Salesforce versus I want to be integrated with a smaller CRM, right? How I can have my software be integrated with as the roadmap continue, how I can scale later on. So a mentor for my architecture with the software, a mentor with my marketing, a mentor with an actual business, like, my customers' business in the same field, asking these questions and getting the feedback and putting all the pieces together actually help you to think for 5, 10 years from now in terms of where the roadmap, what seems to possible without going and raising a lot of funds, without the need of venture capitals, etc. You can actually manage, get your idea more clear at some point and solve a real problem. So having mentors and feedback along the way, I think it's a great way to start before you start to build, and at some point you think you cannot grow. In my opinion, getting feedback and talking to some people seem to be expert in the field. This is very, very valuable. Something you should consider in the beginning. Don't keep your ideas all kind of like in one box. Try to
Right.
talk to the right people at some point. Not everybody knows everything, but at the end of the day, you can make a decision. You actually can see this is solving a problem. How I can, have a roadmap for, milestone 1, 2, 3 without going with the venture capital.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I've having hosted events before myself. Every time I go to, whether it's my event or someone else's, anytime I go to one, there's so many people there that have done the same thing that I've done before. They're currently going through it, and it is basically unlimited resources out there that you can learn from. And if someone has tried going down a path before, you can save so much time by not even having to do that experiment. They've already done it before. You can learn how did it turn out for them. They tried some path, what were the pitfalls that they hit, and avoid those pitfalls, and it'll save you an enormous amount of time. And it's good to make those connections early on so that when you do need them and you're in the midst of the startup, you already have them and you can draw on them, and create mutual relationships where you benefit. That's really the best one, is if you benefit and they benefit too, then it'll be a more sustainable relationship. Of course, there's mentorships too, where someone's already, maybe they're at the end of their career and they're willing to help you out. That's also a great kind of relationship. But yeah, couldn't agree more that there's so many resources out there today. It's just a matter of going to these events, leveraging those resources, meeting people, and the answers are oftentimes already out there. Just a matter of finding them.
Yeah, exactly. Actually think, down the line, once we establish a good portfolio and having a good amount of customers, going with the big players like Salesforce, HubSpot, because a lot of home services, they use these tools. And as you can imagine, like Salesforce, yes, they have some AIs, etc. But having this kind of like GPS, these kind of like dashboards, these management tools, it's not really existed. And talking to someone who actually in Salesforce saying, okay, this is my idea. Can I have this as a plugin at some point with Salesforce? They tell you, yes, you need to have these criteria. That's how you work your way, etc. So you learn. Like when you build your software, you can say, yes, this is my milestone. I'm ready for this, and I can build on that. That's how I can expand to a bigger CRM, etc. Yes, definitely feedback from people expert in the field can help you really along the way.
Yeah, it really does. And like you mentioned, yeah, if you just start building something and then you test it out with those experts, then you don't have to wonder and think about what might work, what might not work. You can readily see, okay, this is something that experts in the area are finding valuable or not. So you don't have to navigate through so much speculation. You can really see what the ground truth is there. So.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, Hisham, it's been a pleasure to have you on here. Like you said, there are many fintech and health tech startups, so it's good to see someone diving into this space of services. There are many services out there, so I imagine this should be a big industry. So if you can really deliver those real time, succinct services that where the complication is eliminated, then I
Mhm.
think definitely it should be a good future for your startup.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Yes, I actually studied this market for a quite long time now, almost 2 years, working on this idea. And every time I talk to a new client or anyone who's in the field, they actually have the same problem with working with their tech stack. They cannot adapt AI. They do have this problem of adapting AI because they cannot connect all the tools in one place. Yeah, having an infrastructure can make the communications between all the tools under one kind of like one AI layer ecosystem
Yeah,
can give the business a really huge advantage and make even the customer more loyal to that business because they
yeah,
have the great experience of they are in a good communication level, and that builds a trust. And technician can focus on their work, customer actually get what they expect to get with the less amount of time to spend to figure that out how they solve their problem. Thank you very much. Yeah.
yeah. Thank you. No, that's a great point on the end there. That it actually allows service providers to provide a better service because it's more quickly delivered to the customer. So that's a good point. That it's actually really improving their own reputation as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me, and have fun in San Francisco.
absolutely. I appreciate that. Yeah, pleasure to have you on.
Thank you.